Hey guys, I hope you're having an awesome day. I just wanted to share with you about having a generous world view and what that means. So for some of you, you may be thinking generosity means being giving of yourself, giving gifts, giving time, but that's not the definition that I want to talk about today. Today when I'm talking about generous, I am describing the ability to be able to assume the best first about a situation or an experience versus the worst, or thinking that bad things are going to happen. So when I describe a generous worldview, I mean seeing the world as a good place, wanting good for you, wanting good things in your life for you, that good things are going to happen to you, and to expect that first instead of expecting the worst. Now, a lot of people might be like, okay, but the world's not always been a great place for me, and maybe I've had chronic traumas in my life or different experiences in childhood or things that happened that were unfair, where good things happen to, or bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. And how do I make sense of this world that, there are really crappy situations that happen? First, that's totally fair. We do, in our world, we will have situations we face where, bad things happen to good people. I don't know that means that the whole world is a bad place or to expect the worst out of the world, because I feel like those tend to be more rare occasions. But it can be really hard if you grew up in a situation where you did have a lot of things that were bad happen to you, or chronic experiences of trauma where, maybe you got bad stuff or you didn't get the good stuff that you were needing and wanting in your life. It makes sense that your brain is wired to see the world a certain way. And even learned helplessness is kind of a form of this, where we are kind of trained over time to see the world in a specific way. And when we've had a lot of trauma, our brain starts to rewire and thinking, how can I prevent this in my life? Okay, I'm going to try to make sure I predict and see and find any situation that might be traumatic or bad for me, and expect bad things. And I would just challenge you that if you are struggling with a worldview where you expect the worst, and even in my own life, this has been something I've struggled with in the past, definitely. And it's still at times I do, and I've got to kind of change my perspective. But I found that when I did do that, I actually missed out on the good. And I was always looking for the bad, so I would find it. I would find the bad because we have this thing called attribution bias, where we're constant, if we do believe that the world's going to be a bad place or give us bad things and we expect the worst, we're going to look at every little detail or situation, or even create stories that things are going bad when they're neutral, because our brain wants to be right about seeing the world as a bad place. And so the problem with this is it's not always super conscious. It's not like we're saying, hey, I'm going to find the bad in this, or I'm thinking the worst about it, or planning for the worst. But it shows up in the subtle ways that maybe we don't apply or put ourselves out there for that job or that graduate school program, or maybe we don't go into a certain type of relationship, or we choose certain relationships because we have a non-generous worldview. So, challenging this and looking at this part of our life is super important for all the subtle ways that we may be sabotaging ourselves, sabotaging our happiness, sabotaging, choosing good relationships and peoples and opportunities, and maybe not putting ourselves out there. So if you struggle with a non-generous life view, I would really encourage for you to question that and kind of be curious about maybe where that came from for you, because it always makes sense in context why we do this, but it's definitely not a useful thing to hold on to. I would encourage you to have a generous worldview, which is to assume that life has good for you and is bringing good things your way. Because when you do that, you're going to find more good things in your life, and you're going to appreciate it and have a gratitude, and that's going to change your way of being in the world, where more good will even come to you. And I know that sounds like a little woo-woo, but it's actually true. And I hope that, when the bad stuff does happen, because we all will be disappointed in this life at one point or another, that you will develop the trust that you can handle that, so that you're not always having to be in preparation mode. You trust that, when it does happen, you've got this. Because you do. You've been through hard things. You've got this. So I challenge you to work on being more generous in your own life and seeing the world as a pretty good place most of the time that has good things coming your way. All right, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk with you in my next vlog.